Welcome to the Real Texas Radio Podcast. I am your host, Bronin. Thank you for joining the show, or if this is your first time listening, 1,000 welcomes. On today's show, I'm mostly going to be comparing and contrasting the cities of San Antonio and Dallas, and why one of them seems to be such a big basket case in terms of keeping its professional basketball team downtown. The other one seems to have done a much better job. What are some of the differences, particularly in light of San Antonio's special called meeting for additional funding for the San Antonio Spurs and their new arena? Before we dive into that major topic, here is a cut. This is Lena Hidalgo, the mental patient of Harris County. She's at a press conference. She's bragging about what a fiscal conservative she is. Just listen to her here.
Of, the left and the right, and obviously I run on the blue side, but if you look at my record, you would consider me a fiscal conservative, certainly with respect to my colleagues. Over all these years, I've voted no on increases that 3 other colleagues have voted yes on major expenses. Under my leadership, the Harris County tax rate has always been lower than it was before I took office. It went down year after year, then went slightly up, but still was lower than what it ever was under my predecessor. So I just want to make that point.
Oh, it went slightly up. Do you know, over the last 5 years, while Lena Hidalgo has been in the office, I constantly read, at least one every year, it seems like Harris County government is increasing the tax rate. What about just in the last few weeks, Lena Hidalgo, again, she tried to float the lead balloon, the dead-on-arrival so-called penny tax for early childhood education, which is just a big scam for the pre-K education grifters and the professional excuse makers for poverty who like to pretend that if you're poor, you're completely incapable of reading bedtime stories to your child. And then last year, in the middle of a complete public mental patient breakdown, she tried to push the same tax. And her colleagues, the so-called GOP3, 2 of whom are staunch Democrats, they blocked it. Everybody blocked it. They said, no way. We can't do another tax. What about her, all of her economic development trips that she likes to take in the summer? To Paris, where she takes staff and security, and she bills you, the taxpayer, for that, in addition to just her regular security budget, which is, I think, close to $1 million. That's what it was in 2024, which is more than her 4 colleagues on the Harris County Commissioner's Court combined. One of them doesn't use a penny of private security, or taxpayer-funded security, rather. So, very glad that delusional Lena Hidalgo is going to be leaving the office. Unfortunately, what is coming in next behind her could be just as bad. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Lena Hidalgo today beyond that. But before we dive into the marquee segment, if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow the Real Texas Radio Podcast from wherever you stream. You can also follow the show on X at RTR_Bronin, RTR_Bronin. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, now, you're listening to the Real Texas Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Bronin, just a fed-up taxpayer bringing you all of your Texas, local, and national news. All right, let's start off in San Antonio. And on Monday, the mayor, Gina Ortiz-Jones, the 3-name lesbian blow-in drifter from Arlington, Virginia, who used to work for Joe Biden, and she graduated from Boston University. Boston, the source of all great ideas. You know who else who went to Boston University? AOC, Nick Fuentes, Martin Luther King Jr., just to name a few people. You too can attend Boston University for undergrad. Martin Luther King Jr. went there as a grad student, I believe, but I believe the undergraduate price tag for a year of school there is like $90,000, $100,000, could be even higher than that. So anyway, Gina Ortiz Jones, she calls her special meeting Monday and she seeks the support of her city council to put before the voters the opportunity to approve more funding for the Spurs arena. And last year, San Antonio voters, I think something like 15% of the electorate of the total of Bexar County eligible voters, the majority of the population, of course, being San Antonians. Is that what you call somebody from San Antonio? A San Antonian, an SA resident? Only 15% of the electorate showed up to vote in a November election. And it was an off-year election. So some of the grifters, because Gina Ortiz Jones, she packed the meeting with a bunch of grifters, made sure they had plenty of time donated so they could make 9-minute speeches. We'd like an opportunity as a city. The city needs to vote on this. The city. Well, if you're a resident of the city of San Antonio and an eligible voter, then you got to vote last year. But most people didn't bother to show up, as they don't. So now the grifters were saying, well, there's going to be much better turnout this year because it's a midterm and everybody's going to be so excited, all the Democrats, to vote for James Tallarico. In any case, Gina Ortiz Jones, she was smacked down. It was a 6-5 vote not to send another proposition to the voters in November. And just to be totally clear, last year, the county did not vote on this $489 million that the city of San Antonio says they're going to raise for the Spurs. But they are going to raise this money through a hotel tax, a 2% hotel tax, and I believe a car rental tax. So, allegedly, property taxes, in other words, are not going to be dedicated toward this new Spurs arena. I think that's true of the county vote as well. So here's just a little video summary that the San Antonio Express News pumped out after the meeting.
Okay. The motion fails.
Last year, for 3 months, this community debated.
This is Mark White, the District 10 councilman, by the way.
This item. And we didn't just discuss the $311 million that would be contributed by the county. We talked about the entire financing structure of this arena.
But the time also comes when leadership.
This is now one of the Spurs retired player.
So I will not have someone say that if you vote and the margin isn't large enough, your vote doesn't count. This is a slippery slope.
And I do not believe that there is a city or an NBA team in this country who got a better deal from the negotiators of the city.
Our county held an election in November 2025.
These are all the old ladies who don't like basketball coming to beg for another vote. So anyway, that's how it went. It didn't go well for Gina Ortiz Jones, who is in contention for the most unpopular, unlikable politician in the state of Texas.
Physically, she's not my type. And now that I've gotten indirectly to hear things about her, she wouldn't be my type in any way, shape, or form.
She's not that bad looking. And she's got a gal pal or a wife who's not bad looking either. Again, not my type. So I bring this up. I bring up San Antonio because unlike Dallas, San Antonio, there's a plan, there's a vision. The Spurs know what they want to do in terms of build their new arena. And the naysayers are trying to argue that there's no plan or that there are all these details that haven't yet been worked out. I don't know about that. But here in Dallas, right? So it's dragging into a year now. For a year. I think it was one of those committees, the finance committee back in September, October of 2025. They floated, maybe we're going to leave Dallas City Hall. We're going to abandon the building. We're going to see if it's too expensive to repair the building, and maybe it just makes sense to go out and lease another space. So that was almost 1 year ago. And since then, the city has been so angry, or the few people who pay attention. And since then, the Mavs, the basketball team here in Dallas, the pro team, announced they are going to be moving to the Valley View site in far north Dallas. They don't have a binding agreement, but they've signed some agreement. I don't know if it's to shake down Dallas for a better deal. And since then, the Stars, the professional hockey team, where the Stars and the Mavs, they currently share the American Airlines Center in Uptown. It's a perfectly serviceable arena. It's better than that. It's an excellent venue for concerts. It is filled well over 200 nights per year with different events. It's got a great location. It's purpose-built for the Mavs. And there are three different train lines that you can take to get directly to the American Airlines Center. DART purposefully built a light rail stop there, 2 different rail lines, and then the TRE, which goes to Fort Worth. So if you're a Fort Worth resident and you want to come see the Mavs or the Stars play or a concert, you can take the train directly from Fort Worth, drop you right in front of the American Airlines Center. But they're going to go to Valley View now, allegedly, unless it's all just about negotiating leverage, where there are no light rail stops at Valley View, but buses could be implemented, or deployed rather. So this is what I want to talk about today. And I really don't know much about sports, and I don't really care that much about sports.
We've all been a little gay, man. It's not even that wild anymore.
Hey, stop it. But I do recognize the importance of professional sports to many other people. And I do recognize the financial engine that having a professional team in your city creates for the broader economic health and growth of your city, of your region. So I'm not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. But this is the point that I'm coming to. So over this year, nearly, that the Dallas City Council and the mayor, not a single one of them have come out and said, let's abandon this building because the Mavs want to build here. Or we want to develop a base of support among the public and among fellow electeds. We want to rally Dallas and see this vision of having an entertainment district where Dallas City Hall is right now. Nobody has done that from the start. We have council members who've put out AI flyers, keep the Mavs downtown, save downtown, we want the Mavericks downtown. They won't say where. They haven't pointed to a site. They offered no speculation, no suggestions. Nobody will tell us. Nobody has the cojones, I'll put it, to actually say that they want the Mavs to develop their new arena at the City Hall site. Nobody has said that, including the mayor. So instead, the say yes to downtown or keep the Mavs in downtown Dallas, whatever you want to call yourselves, whatever group you're in, they have turned their fire toward the Save Dallas City Hall crowd, and they blame them. I'm not going to say us because I'm 60-40. Yes, I'm more empathetic to the Save City Hall crowd, but it's because there's no plan from the other side. Just abandon the building, and then just some magic development is going to occur. There's no plan yet. You know what has happened in that time, in less time? Plano, the city of Plano, they have publicly stated, the mayor, he has gone on television. This was like 8 months ago. He went on television and said, we'd love the Stars to come to Plano. We absolutely would love to have the Stars. We are talking to them. We are open to providing a new home for the Stars. You know what the Stars did? Now they're moving to Plano. And The city of Plano identified a site for them. It's going to be at the old Willow Bend Mall. I think it's been knocked down. It will be very soon. Renderings have been released, and the Plano City Council voted 8-0 earlier this month. They're going to now ask the voters of Plano about approval for the funding structure. $3 billion development for the Stars. And this is what the voters are going to be asked for this $700 million. Short-term hotel occupancy tax up to 2%, resulting in a maximum combined hotel occupancy tax rate of 15%. A short-term motor vehicle rental tax up to 5%. An event parking tax of up to $3 per vehicle. An admissions tax of up to 10% of the ticket price. A venue facility use tax of up to $5,000 per game on each member of a major league team that plays a professional sports game at the venue. So, again, I really don't know much about sports and financing deals but that's a plan. And voters are going to have the opportunity to weigh in. This is all happening in under 1 year. It looks to me like Stars tickets are probably going to get a lot more expensive, right? That with professional sports, it always seems to be getting more expensive for everybody, right? But this is a better plan than raising property taxes, I guess, or it's something to consider if you're a voter. You got a few months to think about it. But the city elected officials, they have unified and they have endorsed a plan, and now they're getting the public's input. You know what else they've done in less than a year? They have secured AT&T headquarters, currently in downtown Dallas, currently very near Pegasus Park, which is Crack Island in the middle of downtown Dallas. It's Crack Island. I just went by it yesterday. As I'm recording, I went for lunch at the Zodiac Room in Neiman Marcus. My husband and I wanted to check it out before it closes on September 30th. It's allegedly going to be moving in some form to the North Park location of Neiman Marcus. I think that the Neiman Marcus Cafe, whatever they have there, is going to be repurposed as a Zodiac Room. So maybe that'll be nice. We had a nice lunch, actually, at the Zodiac Room. I'm very glad that we went. But we passed Pegasus Park, very near AT&T headquarters. And it's all homeless, junkie bum, criminal vagrant, mental patient, ne'er-do-well, recidivist reprobates. It's got shade trees and games and other amenities for the taxpayers, for people who work downtown, for tourists. Instead, it's just a bunch of homeless people strung out with their suitcases and their crap and their zombie-like appearances who dominate the park. And I noticed there was at least one security guard just kind of staring at them, instead of handing out one-way ferry tickets to Crack Island where all of these people belong, and they can go look like zombies, strung out fentanyl addicts with all of their suitcases and all of their stolen crap there. They can do exactly that there. So now AT&T, as you know, this isn't news, they announced in January they're moving to Plano. And they identified their site, and the building where the new AT&T horizontal campus is going to be located. The old building has already been demolished. They're moving. Plano is moving. So, Mayor Johnson, he told the city council, the wolf is up the tollway. The wolf is up the tollway. And, referring to Plano, referring to Frisco. But I still haven't heard a single member of the Dallas City Council come out, have the cojones to say, you know what, guys? 9 of us here want to leave, including the mayor. Let's do this. Let's bring the Mavs in. Let's get this deal done, like has happened in San Antonio, like has happened with our neighbor to the north in Plano. Why can't they do that? Why can't the 9 get 1 or 2 more votes from the Save Dallas City Hall cohort? Why can't they do that and be honest with the public and rally the public? That's where the dishonesty has been, and that's really frustrating. I have another cut here. This is the Economic Development Committee meeting on August 3rd at Dallas City Council. And Paul Ridley, the council member for my district and also downtown, he was asking, we have 30 contiguous acres of developable land coming online once the convention center is demolished, right? Because we're building a new convention center here. And he was asking, what are we doing with that? What's the plan for that? So Dallas City Hall, again, there's been no announced plan other than, well, it's too expensive to fix, so we're going to just leave. We're going to abandon the building, and we're going to go lease office space for 5 years, maybe 10 years, which is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way, to do that, even though we keep learning that many of the staff, they don't even show up to the building anyway because they're remote or hybrid, which means close to 100% remote. So there's no plan for that building, and yet we keep being told in a beat around the bush fashion that, well, we need to get out of the building because this magic development is going to appear if we abandon the building. But then we have a building that's partially demolished, that is certain to be completely demolished, and there's no plan for that. So here's Ridley asking about why is that so?
It's a huge tract of land in downtown. Ms. Bentley, do you want to address that issue?
Yes, love to. Good afternoon, Robin Bentley with the City Manager's Office. So the surplus land that will be created when halls A, B, and C are torn down are one of the components of the master plan. At this point, we haven't done anything
There's no
to
master
advance
plan.
the redevelopment of that site because
they don't have
until about a week ago, that was a functioning space for the FIFA International Broadcast Center, and we still have events programmed in that space for some time to come. So until that property is demolished and is actually available, we're not engaging with development partners on any proposal for council, but we are.
Okay, so you just said, oh, well, we're not engaging with developers because the part of the convention center that hasn't yet been demolished, well, we still have events there. Oh, you mean kind of like at Dallas City Hall where you still have all of your council meetings and boards and commissions meeting and people actively working in there, or a few people actively working in there. So you can't develop a plan for the building that you're certain to demolish, and you're going to have this land of 30-acre parcel become unencumbered in 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. No, we can't get any developer interested yet in that land. Too far out. I mean, it's occupied for the next few months. So, yeah, we're not putting that in the master plan. But Dallas City Hall, let's get out of there quick. Because, as soon as we get out and lease space, and wherever they go, they're most likely going to have to retrofit a building, even if it's new. Hundreds of millions of dollars it's going to cost to do that. We'll be learning about this allegedly next week. We'll be getting a plan on lease options. So it's just so ridiculous. It is so asinine, the whole situation. And that's what's really frustrating about this. And speaking of deep frustration, the Dallas County Commissioners Court, they meet every other Tuesday. And much of the meeting, thank God, it's easy to skip around the meeting. You can scroll back and forth during the live. But a lot of the meeting is just celebrations. Somebody dies, they do a big memorial. And I couldn't even tell who the person was. They named COVID Clay, the hapless, shiftless, terrible weasel judge, horrible, who should be fired this November. He's been in the position for 15 years. COVID Clay recognizes somebody for a memorial, somebody's mother, somebody who worked at the county's, their mother who lives in another state. This is what they're doing at public meetings. And John Wiley Price, he called him out, COVID Clay, about this practice.
As I said, I do 6 or 7 of these every week. And, I've been doing it for the last 15, 20 years. If they're county employees, I understand. If they're elected officials, I understand. I don't understand when we start talking about bringing them to this court and they have no relation with regards to either county service, public service, anything else. That's the reason I voted no.
Yeah. So it's so ridiculous what these people do. And they're voting on tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes in a single meeting. And it's really difficult to follow if you're a member of the public because they don't have the same rules of order of a council where you have to get in the queue, hit the buzzer, you have a certain amount of time to speak. So everybody's talking over each other. They are so disorganized. They reorder the items. Oh, number item 36. Oh wait, no, it's 34. Oh no, we pulled that one. Oh, it's item 37. What are you talking about? Are you finished talking yet? But they're so convoluted. And then you've got Daniel. She's District 1. Dr. Teresa Daniel, worthless. And Summerman, worthless, who's being challenged by Republican Barry Warnick. I've been trying to get him on the show. He doesn't seem interested. He's running as a Republican. He lives in, I believe, the City Council District 11. And he challenged several years ago Janie Schultz, who was embarrassed out of office by Dallas and Fuego and others. Thank God, replaced by a decent council member, Bill Roth. But so he lost to Janie Schultz. So that's the kind of candidate that we're talking about here. He's running as a Republican now for a much larger district, county commissioner, Summerman's District 2, which happens to be my district. So I'd like to get him on the show. I'd like to hear what he has to say. I've communicated with him a little bit, so I'll keep you updated on that. But he's not going to be worse than Summerman in the, I'll be pessimistic, probably in the not very likely event that he is elected. But this is, it's so bad on that court. The two of them, Summerman and Daniel, they're showing up to collect a check and to get their auto stipend. They have no input. They don't criticize or question or have any kind of critical comments on any of the budget at all. They're just showing up for a check. And John Wiley Price, here he is again. It's just crazy that the most critical mind on the court, the most conservative leaning of the whole court is John Wiley Price. It's quite, you know what, if it wasn't so sad, it would be comical. Here he is, John Wiley Price, questioning a contract that appears to have some errors in it that they're about to vote on. He's the only one who had a comment on it.
The date that's in the contract is not right.
Do we need to pull this?
Yeah, you need to. I mean, yeah, that's the reason I'm bringing them up.
This is the first we've heard of it. If we could look into it before the court.
Well, Dr. One,
No, I mean, and again, I don't know if it ran through AI and pulled out something or something like that, but
it ran through African intelligence. Let me just tell you, we sit here on Sundays, my staff and I, and we go through this. We go through it, just like Mr. Ross said something about every week. I'm showing up with all this stuff we're going through. And I mean, if y'all don't want us to read, don't.
Again, we do look through this, but a little advance notice to review some of this, we could respond more timely. But we're pulling it right now and looking at that.
Did you hear that, AI? I've never heard that before. That was funny. That was like some Def Jam comedy right there. What? John Wiley Price, can you tell us again what does AI stand for? I'll play the cut again.
Court.
Well, Dr. One,
No, I mean, and again, I don't know if it ran through AI and pulled out something or something like that, but
it ran through African intelligence. Let me just tell you.
AI, African intelligence. That's a good one. He's got some good lines. He does have some good lines, John Wiley Price. And these stultifying meetings again, where the county commissioners would rather just lull everybody to sleep. Very few public speakers show up, unlike in Harris County, where there seems to be much more public engagement at the county level in Harris County, where Houston is, by the way.
And he ain't talking about me, guys. When he says county judge, he ain't talking about this county judge. No.
Yeah, we are. We're talking about you, you absolute weasel, you weirdo. You sound like you have an obstructed bowel. You better get to the emergency room quick.
Are we doing anything new with the pimps?
Ugh, yeah, come on, Dallas County voters. We got to fire this guy. I mean, anything would be better. I know I always say it could get worse. It could, maybe you could get some Lena Hidalgo type into the office. That would be worse. But COVID Clay, he's so bad. This is a big county. There's a lot of money in the county. We should be able to get a decent person instead of all these freaks who are just robbing us blind, and especially this November with this homeless, junkie bum, criminal vagrant, mental patient, ne'er-do-well, recidivist, reprobate tax, which isn't going to do anything but expand all of the junkie situation. I started going back to the gym in the morning, and so I walk, and I do a pretty good walk around Oak Lawn and uptown. So I'm walking this morning, 7:15, 7:30, and walking down the main drag in my neighborhood. Every bench, there's a bum sleeping on it. I see a business owner who's trying to get a couple of bums who are sleeping under the awning of the business, trying to get them to move. I passed one. He stunk. The stink of some of these people. Another one, they're digging in the trash cans. And you think you give these people, COVID Clay Jenkins, Teresa Daniel, and Andy Summerman, you think you give them $150 million more per year, and you think they're going to solve anything? It's only gotten worse. And there's plenty of money for this problem. And it's just all going to be squandered and go to paying the grifters who don't really have to deal with it. So it's a no for me. Make sure that you vote no if you're a Dallas County voter. Do not approve any bonds. Anytime you see somebody asking for a bond or increasing your own property taxes, you have to be insane to do that, in my opinion. All right, I'm Bronin. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning into the Real Texas Radio Podcast. Keep tuning in. Keep listening. I will catch you on the next episode.